My truth, I think I have. I am a believer despite a brief period of schoolboy atheism, and I am happy to describe myself as a believing Hindu, not just because it is a faith into which I was born, but for a string of other reasons, though faith requires no reason. One reason is cultural. As a Hindu, I belong to a faith that expresses the ancient genius of my own people. I am proud of the history of my faith in my own land, of the travels of Adi Sankara, who journeyed from the southernmost tip of the country to Kashmir in the north, Gujarat in the west, and Odisha in the east, debating spiritual scholars everywhere, preaching his beliefs, establishing his mutts. I am reformed in the activistic allegiance by the Harvard scholar Diana Eck, writing of the sacred geography of India. Knit together by countless tracks of pilgrimage, the great philosopher president of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, wrote of Hindus as a distinct cultural unit with a common history, a common literature, and a common civilization. In reiterating my allegiance to Hinduism, I am consciously laying claim to in reiterating my allegiance to Hinduism, I am consciously laying claim to this geography and history higher its literature and civilization, identifying myself as an empire to a fully vulnerable tradition many of my friends back into time immemorial. Fellow I fully accept that many of my friends need and compatriots and fellow Hindus feel no similar need Indian, but and that there are with this Hindus who are not Indian Hinduism, but I am comfortable with this cultural and geographical Hinduism. That another reason for my ancestral past is for lack but of another reason of my belief intellectual Hinduism fit. Is for lack of a better phrase. The tenets of its intellectual fit. I am more comfortable with the tent which I know of Hinduism than I would be with those of the other faiths of which I know. Merely in the political sense, I have long thought of myself as liberal, not merely in the political sense of the term, as an attitude or even in relation to principles of economics, to allow them as to be and become what they chose, to accept people as one finds them, whatever they allow them to be and become what they chose rigid and to encourage them to do whatever they like never is my natural instinct. Rigid matters of religion, censorious beliefs have never appealed to my temperament by the faith in matters of religion. Two, Hinduism I found my liberal instincts reinforced idea that the eternal wisdom of the ages and Hinduism is divinity cannot be conferred ways predicted on that idea that the eternal wisdom of the ages many and we can divinity to each to cannot be conformed to a single sacred book. I can claim many and adherence to a religion without find our own church or as a Hindu capacity. I can claim religion adherence to a religion without an established a religion that does not oblige me to demonstrate my faith by any visible sign, by submitting my identity in any collectivity, not even by a specific day or time or frequency of worship. As a Hindu, I follow a faith that offers a veritable smorgasbord of options to the worshipper, of divinities to adore and to pray to, of rituals to observe, of customs and practices to honor, of fast to keep. As a Hindu, I subscribe to a creed that is free of the restrictive dogmas of Holy Writ, one that refuses to be shackled to the limitations of a single volume of holy revelation. A Hindu can be Astic or Nastic. The term are said to relate more to orthopraxy than the orthodoxy, but action proceeds from a set of convictions. As an astika, he can accept the sacredness of the Vedas, the existence of Atman and belief in God, or he can reject one or more of these credos and still be Hindu, an adherent of the Nastika variant of Hindu philosophy. As an Astic Hindu, he can subscribe to any of the six major schools of philosophy, the Sad Darshans. As a Nastika Hindu, he can declare allegiance to one of five schools, including Buddhism and Jainism, which, after arising as reform movements against the ritualistic Hinduism of their day, were practically reabsorbed into the parent faith. Or the Nastika can attach himself to the materialistic Charvak school, whose followers denounced most religious practices and devoted themselves to wealth and profit. The palette of options available is as colorful as the most inventive artist. At the same time, as a Hindu, I appreciate the fact that Hinduism professes no false certitudes. Its capacity to express wonder at creation and simultaneously skepticism about the omniscience of the Creator are unique to Hinduism. Both are captured beautifully in this verse from the 3500 years old Rig Veda, the Nasdiya Sukta or creation hymen. Then there was neither non existence nor existence. Then there was neither space nor the sky beyond. What covered it? Where was it? What sheltered it? Was there water in depths unfathomed? Then there was neither death nor immortality, nor was there then the division between night and day, that one breathed breathlessly and self sustaining. There was that one then, and there was no other. In the beginning, there was only darkness, veiled in darkness, in profound darkness, a water without light. All that existed then was void and formless. That one arose at last, born of the power of heat. In the beginning arose desire, that primal seed, born of the mind. The sages who searched their hearts with wisdom discovered the link of the existence to the non existent, and they stretched their cord of vision across the void. What was above? What was below? Then seed were sown, and mighty power arose. Below was strength, above was impulse. Who really knows, and who can say? Whence did it all come? And how did creation happen? The gods themselves are later than creation, so who knows truly whence this great creation sprang? Who knows whence this creation had its origin? He, whether he fashioned it or whether he did not, he who surveys it all from the highest heaven, he knows, or maybe even he does not know. Maybe even he does not know. I love a faith that raises such a fundamental question about no less a supreme being than the creator of the universe himself. Maybe he does not know indeed. Who are we, mere mortals, to claim a knowledge of which even he cannot be certain? Hindu thought also makes a virtue out of the unknowability of God. There is no marvelous story in the Upanishads about a sage who is asked to define the nature of God. The wise man normally, Lucasius, falls silent. He is pressed by his disciples for an answer, and he replies that was his answer, for the absolute its silence. The mystery of the divine reality cannot be reduced to words or speech. Neither thought nor words can suffice. It is not understood by those who understand it, says the Kena Upanishad. It is understood by those who do not understand it. The final words of the Upanishads are Neti Neti, not this, not this, signifying the unspeakability of the Absolute. For many sages, their consciousness of the divine is untranslatable to others. For those who have not attained the same realization cannot grasp it through word or sign. It is that of which nothing can be said. And while I am paradoxically listening my reasons for a faith beyond understanding, let me cite the clincher above all. As a Hindu, I belong to the only major religion in the world that does not claim to be the only true religion. I find it immensely congenially to be able to face my fellow human beings of other faiths without being burdened by the conviction that I am embarked upon a truth path that they have missed. This dogma lies at the core of the Semitic faiths Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me, says the Bible. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet, declares that Quran, denying unbelievers all possibility of redemption, let alone of salvation or paradise. Hinduism asserts that all ways of belief are equally valid, and Hindus readily venerate the saints and the sacred objects of other faiths. I am proud that I can honor the sanctity of other faiths without feeling I am betraying my own. After all, as a philosopher, Raymond Paniker put it so brilliantly in his The Vedic Experience, it is precisely faith that makes thinking possible, for faith offers the unthought ground or of which thinking can emerge. It is faith that makes moral and other decisions possible, opening to us the horizon against which our actions become meaningful. As a Hindu, I seek meaning in my actions within the context of my religious beliefs.